Yo, Prof here, and I really need a haircut. However, in order to do that, I need a working car. Well, the car works, the brakes don't. Important distinction, maybe? Let's get this video going. We got some more things to take a look at. We're a bit past my normal working hours, but I'm waiting for some exchange updates to go through. So, might as well do something while I wait. Since, like I said, already past normal work hours. And I gotta make sure that goes through. But, you know, doesn't mean I can't multitask, right? Right? One just finished up here. Alright, so today, what do we got? You guys are like, how many things is he showing? Exactly, I agree. What are we looking at today? Today, we're looking at a USB cable. No, we're not looking at a USB cable. That did just come in today. This is a Club 3D. I got a bunch of stuff that only works with USB-A on one end, because even though it has a Type-C, like one example is... this guy just came in, glorious number pad here. Already got cat fur on it. I haven't programmed this yet, but the fact that it's Bluetooth, wireless, mechanical, super nice. This does not charge off of a standard USB-C PD wall charger. You have to use an A to C cable. There's been enough stuff like that around here that A to C cable. Finally just went and bought one. So that normally what I would do is I would use a C to C and then a C to A adapter. I don't have one on hand. Oh, never mind, I do. So something like this guy right here. This is actually my normal setup. USB 4 cable, C to A adapter. But even then, there's still a chip inside of these USB 4 cables. So you'd have to get like a dumb USB C to C, and I really don't want to keep one of those around. That just gets even more confusing. Because otherwise, if it's not a dumb one, it won't negotiate charge without a handshake of some kind. But that is not why we're here today. Why we are here today is for you EDC folks out there. Because we got another pen. Of course we have another pen. Sorry, starting the next update here. Got a bunch of them I gotta get through. What do we have here is we have a pen from Tactile Turn, and actually it did not come from Tactile Turn. Like, how is it a Tactile Turn pen that didn't come from Tactile Turn? Is it like the Bernoulli one? No, it is not. No, it is not. Not at all. What it is I bought it off eBay secondhand. I try to avoid doing that, but even, how do you want to put this? Like, I really like this Ultem one because it looks awesome. Obviously, it looks awesome here. Let's punch in. That didn't work. There you go. Ultem here. Look at that. I love that look. And I have the matching knife. This one I did get engraved because it wasn't originally supposed to be a limited run. It is now, though. It is beautifully smooth, but it's actually a little bit thicker. I have the stainless one here for comparison. This is actually probably the worst one to go with because it's really heavy since it's stainless. But the body of it is thicker, as is Like, you can even see it, like, the wall around the tip is thicker. And I don't know if that's because of the stock. Like, is that how thick this Ultim stock is? Or were they worried about strength? Because Ultim is decently strong for what it is. This one, as you can see, this stainless. No engraved, because I just wanted this thing to just be clean. You want a tank? This is like your super robust guy right there. Well, I love this one, and ever since that one came out, they did launch, because this one was so popular. They have launched one other one in this style. They actually launched two. There's an X-Tone that's actually in titanium that's purposely made thicker. That is one of the few other ones that I'm trying to buy used, but I think they're even rarer than this guy right here, which I actually had in my cart. I had this in my cart when it was announced and when it was released, and they sold out before I could make it all the way through checkout. It was a big ripperoni. Rippadoodle. Bolt action, obviously. Bolt, Tecaform standard. Now, standard refers to the length. What is the length? It is technically the Pilot G2 size, but the Pilot G2 is very, very close to the Uniball. And the Uniball is actually like an international standard. The Pilot G2 is standard within Pilot. Like, you'll be able to get their Jetstream ballpoint refills in that same style. You'll be able to get the V5 in that refill, like the clicky V5. I forget what they call those. The RT, V5 RT, I think. Also in that is the Pilot Juice. The Pilot Juice, by the way, guys, that is the gel pen for those people who don't like the Pilot G2. The Pilot G2, however, is very, 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 very popular in the US. And now also, which is not as compatible, is the Juice Up. That is probably my favorite refill right now, hands down, bar none. Writing-wise, I actually like the original Hi-Tec-C, the non-clicky Hi-Tec-C, like where you pop the cap off, and I have a couple pens that use it because that was kind of the original refill that went in all these machine pens. I actually like that better. However, a click or a bolt pen is just so much more convenient that I don't use those often. Just because so few pens now use that, it's fallen out of fashion. Then some of them try to use the Hi-Tec-C click refill, and the Hi-Tec-C click refill just doesn't write as nice, is not as reliable as the original. So I just get annoyed with it, and I'm like, oh, if I'm going to use Hi-Tec-C, screw this garbage. I want to use the original Hi-Tec-C, not this not like knockoff, but like this oh, they made it fit into a specific like niche sort of thing. If I recall, that is also technically Pilot G2 because they make the Hi-Tec-C as well, so it does fit in the pens that would fit like a G2 clicker, but it's butts. Also, it's actually meant to be stored tip up, and most click pens store tip down, so it just leaks out everywhere. I've filled pen container, like pen things, like so stuff like this. This guy's only temporarily here. These are just plastic ones. We're also trying this. The guy also came in the Pentel. I think it's Sicily. They're available in I think 0.25, which is what this is, and 0.8. They're actually designed to be like art/drawing gel pens. For a 0.25, now I feel like this is kind of like the original Hi-Tec-C. It's just like a body like this. You pull it out. This is super lightweight for drawing. You wouldn't like you can put the cap there, but like if you're truly drawing, you're not going to do that because it's going to get in the way. It's going to be offset on the back. It's actually super skinny. Feels really nice. It's probably one of the smoothest 0.25s. Way smoother than a Hi-Tec-C 0.25. Interesting refill shape. I've never seen that before. Maybe these are older. I am not sure. They just popped up on my feed on Amazon, and I bought a 2-pack. Gave David one, Swears, and kept the other one for myself. It's just sitting here because I have a free spot for now. But yeah, so what happens with the Click Hi-Tec-C is if you have it tipped down and you put it in something like this, it's going to pool ink in the bottom because it's just going to, I call it pissing itself, because it's meant to be stored tip up. If you look at, like here, this refill, stored tip up because the clip's on the top. On the Hi-Tec-C, even for the Click refill Hi-Tec-Cs, they're actually not Click refill. All of them have either twist-off caps, pop caps, stuff like that, where in your pocket it's still tip up. So there's like a whole issue there. But yeah, so I've had to clean these out. Got to use a bunch of Q-tips in there. You know, really go at it. Pain in the ass. Not dealing with that again. So what my preferred refill is, and actually more compatible because there are at least 4 brands that make gel refill. They make gel and non-gel refills in these because this is the Uniball International something or other standard. I forget what the standard technically is. These fit in Tactile Turn's side click, which I'm actually using right now. Here's my Nitro side click right here. These fit in here, no problemo. Yeah, perfectly. And that is because there is no over needed for a side click. Like when you push it, it clicks. There you go. However, if you look at a bolt, in order to bolt, let's zoom in even more. So in order to bolt, you have to actually go like, okay, so we're getting towards, right? That's about the length where it should stay out when you stays out, but it actually has to go way that far. So you have to overextend it, and then it'll come back up because you have to get over that notch there, right? The side click doesn't need that because there's a piece in that just tilts over. You've probably seen, if you're at least my age, you've probably seen some that have like a little notch or a little like wedge in the top that falls over when you click it in. It's based on a similar mechanism to that. Either way, the Uniballs will fit. Sometimes you have to cut 1 or 2 millimeters off the back of it to compensate for that over that the bolt has to do. You can also drill out the tip, which I have done. I can grab my one I did that on. I, however, do not recommend that anymore. There's a reason why I haven't done that. Mine works fine. So here is mine that I drilled out. This is my original. This is the original Gen 2 bolt from Tactile Turn. Or this should be 2019, 2018. Let's see here. 2019. Yep. And there is no cutting needed for this refill. You can see by how far it sticks out, right? So what I did is I actually drilled out the inside of the tip out further. That allowed me to, basically allows it to overextend. Like, look at how far that overextends. So I don't have to cut the refill. Pens are more expensive than refills. You are much better off modifying the refill than you are the pen. However, I literally the same day this came in, drilled it out. You can see it's a little bit rough, but it's fine. However, over at Tactile Turn, they are worried because that wall is so thin. Once you drill that out, that could have issues. Like, compare those two. See how this wall is just so thin. Not recommended. However, mine works fine. Gotta be like, do you just want to cut a millimeter or 2 off the back here, off this plastic piece that's like $2-3 maybe, or the one that's $100+. Drill a hole in it and maybe fuck that up. I didn't know about cutting the back off at the time, and I bought this being like, it should fit Uniball because it fits a Pilot G2, and based on the dimensions, it just barely doesn't. So I made it work, and I've been happy ever since. And I was very happy when the clip broke. Actually, the internal pen did, not the clip. And they actually had to remill a new back piece here. Or mill a new back piece. And you can see it's a slightly different size bar stock. I'm guessing they had to change suppliers or something. But they were able to fix mine, which I really appreciate. Because this one's not really special. It is literally just the first run titanium second gen bolt. And on the newer ones, they actually changed the J, or reverse J. See, you hit here, it's very much more a J, whereas here it's like a chunky, like where it's bump, bump, chunk, like. Whereas this one's much more of a swoop. Can you see that? So, like, say on this one you had to cut off 2 millimeter, this guy you only have to cut off 1, because there's just much less travel that it has to have in order to do that. Whereas this one's like this big swoop by comparison. The even older ones, these are even bigger. Like it's actually like a half circle on theirs, which is unique. Most other people were doing something similar to these two, or even like an L shape. I do not like the L-shaped ones; they're not smooth. Yeah. So you can modify the pen if you want. I would not recommend it personally, even as being someone who has done it. But even when my pen was repaired, they were able to actually repair it, and actually they made a new cap for it, rather than and I could keep my modified pen that can take these refills without modification, which I appreciate. What is that long-windedness to it? Well, this is a Tecaform, and the standard means it's the long boy, right? And the long boy means it can take a G2, or in this case, this Uniball right here will be going in it. What is Tecaform? This is Tecaform. Right there. Oh, I'm way out of frame. Oh, I knocked it. I made it more out of frame. Lovely. That is Tecaform. It's bleu. Le bleu. But not only is it blue. And what do you mean by that? Well, let's pull it out. See if I can hold it up to the camera. You may have seen some sparkles in there. Come on, refocus. There we go. Okay, you see those sparkles in there? They actually impregnated. This is metal impregnated plastic. Now, why would you want metal impregnated plastic? Can any of you take a guess? Throw it down in the comments below. Beep, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Answer is, so it shows up in X-ray. They use it in food service as well as in prison systems. So they make like prisoner trays out of Tecaform, because it is fairly common for them to take those and like sand them down into shivs and store them in your what do you say, natural pocket, let's say. So an easy way to find it would just be to X-ray it, now that it's metal impregnated plastique. The other time in your like food service, what I mean by that is not just the food service industry, as in like a tray that you would put food on for a prisoner, but actually in the manufacturing of food. So if you have like a thing made of plastic, if it were to break and fall off into the food you're packaging, if it was metal, you can use metal detectors to detect it, because there should not be any more other metal in there in the food, obviously, right? Except there's metal in here. But a lot of times you wouldn't want to use metal. You might want to use plastic for its slidey purposes and stuff like that. So that is where this Tecaform material comes from. I don't know how they got the rod necessarily, because I don't know why you would make a rod of Tecaform. But it is smooth. I'd say there's a little bit more play in this than... Yeah, there's a little bit more play in this than the Ultim. You can hear this one feels a little snappier, right? Yeah, there's a little bit of play. I can even see it between the bolt and the body that isn't there on the Ultim. So I'm guessing that's a restriction of whatever material they found. Not that it feels bad, but it actually feels. I already like the standard, not thin, because they do make thin now as well. I prefer the standard size thickness of Tactile turn. I'm the kind of person that likes. Have you ever seen, like, you guys probably used this when you were very younger, but it's like kid's first pencil. The big Ticonderogas, they're fatter, right? And they come in a package of one usually. If I'm going to use a physical pencil, not for drawing, because that's something you can hold like this or like this or like this. You kind of get a bit more fluid with how you hold a drawing pencil. The thinner ones are better for that. But if I'm writing, especially now that I'm going to say ever since high school, I would actually I switched back to them, and especially in college, if it was a pencil where I didn't just use a mechanical one. I would use the My First Pencil Ticonderoga, and I actually learned that from a professor I had. I noticed he was doing it, and I was like, well, why are you doing that? You know, blah, blah. And it's because they're thicker. They're easier to hold as an adult. Like, your hand is bigger. So here's a very skinny pen. It is not that comfortable to write with, and it's not really a pen. It is, I mean, technically speaking, it is. It's a Uniball style fit. What this actually is the refill in here is for Uniball's new multi-pen line. So here, this would go in a multi-pen. What is a multi-pen? It's a pen with multiple refills in it. That's why it's got to be very skinny, and usually they're shorter because, compared to at least a standard, here's a standard Uniball refill that is a clicky one, they're considerably shorter. That's because there's a lot more mechanism to a multi pen. I actually have Hi-Tec-C. That is the other thing I like, the Hi-Tec-C Coletto multi pen refill. I would use those for notes when I was taking physical notes in college, because then you can write, like, say in a physics or a math class, you could write your general notes from the teacher in one color. You could write equations, like important equations or stuff like that, in another color. You can write. You had 4 colors, right? So you could, like, specify. I never liked red, so I generally went black, blue, green, orange is what I would do. And I used to originally, before I got the multi-pen, I would actually have 4 pens, and I would actually hold them in my hand like the cap-wise. We have one of these, so this will work. But I'd hold them. Like 1, 2, 3. I generally only did 3 because you can fit 3 in between your knuckles here, and I would go boom, scribble, grab, put it back, grab the other one, boom, scribble, grab the other one, put it back, boom, scribble. So it was a way of having, because I'm writing with my right hand, they're sitting here in my left hand, I can grab them. You could also go this way, like where they're sitting, like 1, 2, 3, and you grab them like that. However, multi-pens, I thought about it, and I was like, what about the Bic made those really cheap multi-pens that were black, blue, green, red. You might have seen they usually have a blue body on them, like a blue bottom, white top. I'm like, what? Why don't I use one of those? Or I bet you somebody makes something better one of those, and they did. Hi-Tec-C Colettos. Well, Uniball finally, after all these years, is getting into that with this style fit. The kind of cool thing, though, is that this is a singular refill. I pulled it out just for you now, right? So you could put that in your multi-pen. But they also sell bodies just for the refills. So if you want to use it separately, or say you got used to writing with this specific refill, but you only want to use the one color, or if you just want to keep a body around for testing colors, like if you're like, I bought a couple of refills, you just want to swap them in and out here so you don't have to mess with your multi-pen, you can buy them in pen form. They're a little bit more, and then just yank the refill out and put that in your multi-pen, rather than normally with a multi-pen, the refills are useless without the multi-pen. So at least with this, you can use it until you put it in your pen, or vice versa. Like say if you swapped your colors out, you could swap one in this body There's a 0.38. That's probably my preferred size. 0.38, 0.4. So yeah, that's and those are thicker too because they have multiple. Usually they got at least 3, usually 4. So you can even get 5 refills in one. So like I remember when I was a kid, they had like really fat ones. Those just had really cheap ballpoint ink in them, but they had like 8 or 10 colors. Usually the 3 colored ones are a bit nicer. You can get them metal bodies. 4 colored ones, plastic, but 4 is about right for me. And then I think 5 you could, but those start getting really fat. Either way, going into that, like Professor noticed he was an older guy. I think he was retiring even in a couple years, but he was using my first Ticonderogas. And I was like interested about that. I'm like, why do you do that? He's like, oh, they're just way easier to hold, way more comfortable. You actually get way more pencil because they're way longer too, generally. Much bigger eraser because it's just like a scaled up pencil. And he just preferred them. And I'm like, hey, I'm gonna try that. I bought 2 of them. Always buy 2. Always have 2 pens, guys. Even generally I carry 2, or nowadays I carry 1 and I have 1 in my bag. And you're like, what? Me too. I bought a nice, I bought this guy back in 2019. I just keep swapping the refills. It's never done me wrong. What happens if you forget this? What happens if your refill dies? Do you carry extra refills? I actually used to. At Geek Squad, I would go through so many refills that I would carry 1 of each common type. So I would have 1 of the Schmidt, not the Easy Flow. It was the 8P8192, I want to say. 1 Uniball. And 1 G2 style, so probably a Pilot juice refill. And I keep those 3 refills in bags so I could easily do it. But just sometimes you might forget your nice pen. So either you have 2 nice pens, which is often what I did, usually with 2 different refills, just in case you write on something that maybe carry your space pen refill for writing on the weird things that gel pens can't write on, and even though you mostly use this, you got this guy in there in case you need to do like write on receipts or even wood, that sort of stuff, but yeah, always have 2, or if you're only putting 1 in your bag, like 1 in your notebook or 1 in carry the other one in your bag as a backup. I don't know. That's how I've always been. You always, or if you use something, like I showed you this at the beginning. I have 2 of these. 1 I've labeled in yellow, the other I've labeled in orange. Usually I grab the yellow one. That's why I don't have it right here right now because it's in use. But sometimes like that. Say that one's in use, and I need to go do something where I normally use the yellow one. Well, for the longest time I just didn't have one because I didn't want to spend another $25 on a cable or something. Or I necessarily didn't want to, didn't think, oh, why do I have to do that? Blah blah. Just get 2. I mean, like if you don't know yet if it's something you'll use, don't do that. But once you know like you are using it, have at least 2 of it. But yeah, thicker. So I actually really like this. That's also why I'm trying to track down the X-Tone, which currently is the only tactile turn that they have made in this thicker material, but out of metal and not plastic. Oh, like I said, originally, I don't know if it's the reason why the Ultim got made bigger is because that's the material they got, or if they figured, oh, we need it stronger because it's plastic and not metal. I don't know which way that is. I didn't see anything for or against that. But the Tecaform is in that same sort of area there. The one thing I will say is the inside of the Tecaform. I don't know if sometimes they get these as hollow tubes, both for the metal and the plastic. And other times they get them as a solid rod, and they have to drill them out. You would think there wouldn't be more play if they have to drill them out, because this one's really nice and tight, really nice and smooth. So my guess is this might have been specified by like how it already came or something potentially. Not sure. Sometimes they keep stuff, or they mention stuff like that, like Karas Customs does as well. Like, oh, we did this way because of X, Y, Z. Tactile Turn will mention that too, on like when they choose certain materials. Or here with this bolt, this is my Black Friday bolt. This one is DLC that like the finish was inconsistent or bad on, and basically they just tumbled it to make it look half decent. See, it looks all like weathered and worn. Where it should, like a true DLC would be like my stealth one, where it's just black, like it's black, black, black. Apparently they had some, and they could only make them in shorties like this, probably because of like I'm guessing they tumbled or like the body was DLC coded. You see that, like this part. So they could make a whole pen out of just in between there. See that? Like, whereas this is the tip, that's the end. They can make a whole shorty pen out of just the body of a standard. Or maybe they only had so much material and that ended up being like a short one. If you watch a previous video, I bought David, this is not a short, this is a mini. I bought David a short, which takes the, or Squares a short, that takes the Parker refill. Because that is his preferred size, length, and refill. Whereas mine, I don't mind the longer pen. It does waggle a little bit at the end, but this just gives you a lot more refill choices. The other thing you can do, and people make these all the time, is some people who really like Parker refills, but the pens they use are only G2, or in this case, Uniball related. They make adapters from Parker, because the Parker pen refill will fit in here. You just have to extend it. So it's like a little cap that goes on it, and then you can put it in there. But if you know you're going to use Parker, order the Parker one. I just prefer gel refills, and the Uniball size refill gives you the most variation. Uniball or Pilot G2 size is what gives you the most variation there. And just because it's like I said, the juice up, because it has a plastic hybrid tip, doesn't work on some of these. It works in the slim tactile turns, but not the full size like this. There's too much play and it gets caught and some other stuff. So even though that's technically it should work, it doesn't, sort of thing. But yeah, so the little bit of backstory on why I like this little bit thicker pen here. It's just more comfy for me in my hand and my grip. I don't have big, massive hands. I have bigger than many, though. I'd say they're like a medium. They're definitely average to large size. They're not like a big, meaty hand. You know, like, well, you'll see a lot around here, the big, meaty hand, especially for people that are working, you know, trades and stuff like that. They'll have like a big old mitt. I don't have that, but, you know, decently. If you watch some of the mouse videos, I have measured in the past. It's a decently sized hand. And I don't know, the thicker pen is just more comfortable to me, which is why you'll see me, if given a choice for like say the Ember, I thought that looked better in this size with the patterning it had. I have purposely gotten the slim one because the seasonals are much more about the paint job, which I managed to put a dig in here and put a dig in there. Rip me, but I really like the Ember bolt here. So I used it a ton. I bent the clip just too. Rip. But hey, I don't mind. It you know, like, I use my pens. That's the other thing is, I know, like, how did I pick this up? Months after, is because somebody bought it and didn't use it. Early on in the cycle of Tactile term putting stuff out, people will buy things just to sell them. So early on, and that's how I got this a little bit cheaper as well, is these came down in price because it was right after that bump. Because normally what will happen is, like, and I was looking, I just wasn't willing to pay the price. I had how much over I was willing, you know, because it does cost money to lift stuff on eBay or PayPal fees or wherever I'm buying it. That's why when I got that Bernally for cost, the Bernally slim side click for cost, I was really happy. Really cool thing about that is that the knurling on the Bernally, even though it's a slim, the knurling on it makes it thicker, which then I could use. It's real heavy though because it's brass. Kind of nice thing about these is they're very fat and very light because they're plastic. And this Tecaform is one of the ones that I really wanted to find and snatch up to add to my collection. And I did finally. You just gotta, like, I set notifications on eBay, And as soon as one popped up at a reasonable price, I snatched it. I was in talks to get another one shortly after it had come out because I'd missed it, and just couldn't come to an agreement quick enough with the seller because I was only willing to spend X amount over what they were new because I was going to buy it originally, and I bought this one. I know how much they go for, and I know roughly how much. Like, there's kind of like a set amount over that. Like, say if it, like, a lot of times if it was like $150 pen, they'll try and get $250. You can probably get it for $200, which I would consider reasonable. Like, that's for that price range, for example. Yes, it is more money. Yes, they're making a bit, but you are buying a limited edition, not limited edition, but a limited quantity product that unless you buy it from them, you're going to have to buy it from somebody else as you're not getting it. They're not making more of them. So I can see a bit of a premium in that because I was too slow to get mine. Like I said, I had it in my cart. I was like, I'll get something else while I get this too. And in the time it took me to go stick the other thing in the cart and hit checkout, then this thing updated, be like, oh, quantities have changed on the items in your cart, and it went rip paparoonies, rip potatoes and potatoes, ripperonis. Beautiful pen, but yeah, a lot of people, you'll see them months later. I a lot of times don't even keep this box. Like, why would I keep this box? I might take a picture of that to keep like the model or something. But like, I guess if you didn't have those cool pen holders that I do, or some place to put them, you might keep in the box. But here's the thing: cool pen holder. You see this when you leave. Often when I had my office upstairs, which I will have back eventually once I finish redoing a bunch of stuff, this is sitting by my keys. I keep at least one of these by my keys, where I put my keys in my wallet and stuff like that. So when you leave, those are the most, keep most recent ones or whatever ones I want to use, and you can just be like, you know what, today I'm vibing. I want the shorty today. Let's take the shorty. Or we've done a lot of bolt because I ran the Ember. Now this is a bolt. Now I got other bolts here. The Nitro just came out. Let's get some side click action back. Let's take the Nitro. That's what I've been rocking because it's been the new seasonal. And usually I'll default to the new seasonal. From Tactile Turn, and I'll rock that unless there's a reason not to. Sometimes actually, depending on what I'm doing, these are actually too long, so I'll pick something else. But other times you just what you're vibing with, you just grab it. Now if these are sitting in a little box like this, like in a drawer or something, you gotta like go in. No. So what's going to happen is this guy goes here. This guy is going to go right there. And these plastic ones don't count. Let's take it out. And then we can, keep expanding from there. To be truthful, this one's going to be full pretty soon because this goes in a different one. These are only here because I'm testing them out. This one I picked up when I was in Seattle. Same thing with this guy. I have the orange one of this in my camera bag I always carry. If you want an EDC carry pen and you don't want to spend like on a nice metal one there, pick up this guy, Uniball 1. You can get them in 0.38 and 0.5. It takes the full Uniball refill, goes tip to butt, literally in there. Amazingly engineered pen for one that costs like $10. And nice and chubby. It's long enough, but not too long. And it's nice and thick. You can apparently the reason why they made them thick is so you could use them with gloves, like in winter. And or workers on like sites and stuff would have make them easier to use, and you could still use the refill that you like. Something to keep in mind there. But yeah, so I put this, or I might have multiple of these by my keys. And you just grab the pen. That's why I wouldn't keep it in the box. Some of the boxes are really, really cool, and I could understand from a collector's standpoint. I used to keep them all, but then I realized I had a drawer of boxes. And will I ever get rid of these pens? Maybe someday. Like, I'd have to have a decent reason to, though. With anything you collect. And sometimes, yeah, I go back. Like I said, this is my original titanium bolt. This is one of the original in my collection of metal/milled pens. Only ones before this really are the EDK that Squares got me, and then he also, prior to this, got me the previous Bolt that they made that was a Parker refill out of stainless steel. So that's the only ones really older than this guy in my collection. And back then it was like, I want to say one pen was, like there was a year between those two pens, and then I finally bought this one because I wanted to try a Uniball refill. Because I hadn't up to that point, I basically, if I wanted a gel refill, I just used the Hi-Tec-C. But those don't fit in clicky bolt pens. Oh, I should say around that time too, I did have my pen type A. I don't think the pen type B was out yet by this point. It might have been, but so I would have had that as well. But that's not a clicky bolt pen, you know. So yeah, and it's grown exponentially over time. Tactile Turn makes a great pen. Karas makes a great pen. CW&T, they make the pen type A, B, and C, all using Hi-Tec-C refills. The C does use the Coletto, the little tiny one, but it's a bookmark style pen. And then the last but not least is TI2 Design, or TI2 pen. I have his original Kickstarter one that uses the original style non-click Hi-Tec-C, as well as his newer ones that originally started using the Uniball, and then later went to the Pilot G2 because he's US based, and in the United States of America, you cannot avoid that Pilot G2 refill. Like you'll have them coming out of your ears. You don't even know where you get them from, and you'll have Pilot G2 pens. I remember when those came out, and that's like been the only, since there was the gel pen craze when I was a wee lad, and that started coming out, and those were like the Jelly Roll came here, and it came almost as like a drawing pen. The only gel pen that has stuck around, that was actually branded as a gel pen that people actually sought out and bought, was the Pilot G2. Everything else went away, literally. Like, and they would just cycle different brands through constantly. Like, just, and it wasn't until the Hi-Tec-C came and like Jet Pens was able to import those that I got back into using gel pens. Love that refill still to this day. And then like that was just a big, after that, all these different kinds of gel pens and gel refills and that sort of stuff. Turns out they've been in Japan the whole time. Who knew, right? Who knew? Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed the new pen and the bit of the history lesson context. Let me know, which one of these four would you want? Do you want the titanium, stainless steel, Ultim, Tecaform? Would you get it in a different refill size, and why? Throw it down below in the comments. And if you want to discuss any of this further, we do have our Discord linked in the description, and we have the pens themselves, and both pens and EDC have their own channels. Hopefully we'll see you there. Peace.